Welcome to the Notorious Scoundrels, a Star Wars Legion podcast bringing you the latest news, general perspective, and competitive discussion.
Hello and welcome back to the Notorious Scoundrels podcast. I'm Kyle. I'm here with Jay and Tim. What's up, gentlemen?
Go ahead, Tim.
Oh no, not a whole lot. Just pulled off our first honey of the year today. So.
Oh, was it good?
Oh, we haven't extracted it yet. Just got it into the shed, ready to extract tomorrow.
Did you put your whole bee thing on and go in there like a spaceman in your giant bee suit? Yeah.
Once you start to steal the honey from them, that's when you definitely wear full suits.
I'd imagine they don't like that very much.
No.
Oh. You ever see that flow hive thing from Australia where they separate the comb and then it pours into a jar? It seems too good to be true.
Even before I heard anything about it, there are way too many things that could go wrong.
Yeah.
I won't get into it.
Just like going out to my garden where there's bees is like so many things can go wrong. So when I'm messing with their home, it seems like bad news,
Yeah. I mean, today was the first day I wore a full bee suit. All the rest of the year, I at most wear just like a jacket.
Do you get stung occasionally? Yeah.
Oh yeah, every day.
You're just used to it.
Yeah, I wasn't wearing gloves today, so I got a bunch of stings in the hands today, but those are fine.
This is how you become a supervillain.
Yeah. I get one bee sting and I'm like, ah!
I mean, at the market, when people ask, do you get stung every day? And I just pull my hands out, because they leave little black dots, the stings, for about a week. And you just start counting them, and they'll be 10 to 20 at least on my hands, but they just last a week. So it's yep, I get stung that many times in a week.
Wow.
I thought I had problems with that.
Yeah. All right. Well, enough about bees. We're going to talk some about Legion today. Eventually,
I could literally do an entire podcast just on animals and bees and gardens. We could maybe one of these podcasts we'll just not talk Legion and just do an entire podcast about the nature.
There you go.
That would be great.
Nature.
I love bees. I have a clover lawn, mostly through laziness, but the bees love it. So
both in my apiarist and biosystems heart, clover lawns are the best lawns.
Yep.
Chickens really like clovers too.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, because it's
good to know. It's also less work. I don't know why everybody doesn't do it. You get pretty little purple flowers. You get lots of bees and butterflies and stuff. I don't know.
And it doesn't grow long, so you don't have to really cut it.
Yeah, I mean you do occasionally, but
so you know why we have lawns, right? It's rich people. That was the whole thing. Farmers like me don't care about the lawn at all. But rich people were like, oh, we're going to prove how rich we were by taking this property that you would normally grow food on and just let grass grow. And we're going to cut it down. So take that, poor people.
Yeah. Well, I have no need to pretend that I'm rich in any fashion. So I will happily take my tiny house and my tiny clover lawn.
Rage against the lawn. No,
yeah.
I'm starting a movement here,
Kyle. Anyway, yeah, Legion. We got Gen Con coming up this weekend, so we're going to do some Gen Con predictions. We are going to do some random spitballing list building if we have time. I also played in a tournament this weekend, which was sort of a Nova. It was in fact a local tournament, which is the first one that I've done since 2019, I think.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, I've done the convention tournaments, but this is the first store tournament that I've done in that time frame. So I'll talk about that, and if we have time, then we'll do some random list building spitballing. So, but first, you got any housekeeping for us, Jen?
Housekeeping? Yeah, so let's see. Housekeeping. Storm Tide. We're back. We're back, baby. We shipped out our what is it? Season 2 box 4. We just shipped that out, which is I think our 10th box altogether. So we're back and shipping again. So very excited about that. If you want to get into Stormtide, a lot of people have been coming to me and saying, hey, I'm new to Stormtide. Do I need to start at season 1? The answer is no. And the second answer is you can't start at season 1 anymore. We've basically sold out of all of season 1, quarter 1. So those of you who have already done the first 3 box season 1, you could do season 2. Season 2, you're going to miss some of the story, of course, but you can start at season 2, box 1, and that'll get you everything you need to get started and start playing, which is exciting. So check out Stormtide if you and a friend or family member just want to play some casual fun Legion. That's what Stormtide's all about. It's we just do some crazy stuff in there that's different than normal Legion games, just to show some variety and fun, and we usually give away, you pay for it, but we put a lot of stuff in the box that's really cool, like acrylic tokens or 3D prints, and all new cards and scenarios and all of that. And this box that we just sent out, we actually have started doing divergent storylines, which is super cool too. So there's a lot of fun in Stormtide, so check it out if you want just like something, a box to come every month that you guys can play and have a good time. You could do that. If you like some of the stuff that we put out and you didn't know this, did you know we also made our own board game? It's on the fifthtrooper.com. It's called Cubicle Raiders. It is a love letter to my days in corporate America. And basically you get hired by this new company and your whole seniority is based on how many office supplies you can collect and trade. And so if you want to see what else we're capable of outside of the Legion verse, we do have our own board game. So it's up at thefifthtrooper.com. It's under the shop, Cubicle Raiders, and check that out. And then listen, you guys have been doing awesome. We've gotten a bunch of new Patreon supporters, but I want to see those. I want those numbers to go way up. And I'm not talking about the dollar numbers. I just want to see physical people signing up for it. So you could sign up for as little as $1 a month. That's $12 a year to just help support the blog and the podcast and all this stuff, content that we're producing. And it makes everybody here at the Fifth Trooper, especially the blog writers, feel good. They always tell me, I got you a new Patreon subscriber. So if you don't want Tim or Evan or Lucas or Alice or Cami or God, who else? we got a lot of blog writers, or Kyle or AGST or any of these guys to cry. Go subscribe to Patreon. $1 a month. You can choose your level, and you could just put in $1 a month. $12 a year is all we need for this podcast and these blogs to keep going. So why don't you go sign up for that and make everybody happy? Do it right now. I'm going to pause for about 30 seconds. You go ahead and you go sign up for Patreon. I'm not going to do it for 30 seconds, but you can go do it right now. You can actually just open another tab in your browser window, or if you're on iTunes listening to us, just open, it'll still play in the background. Or if you're on YouTube, put that window over here and put a Patreon window over here and go sign up for Patreon right now. If you sign up at the $10 or $25 level, we're sending out all kinds of cool stuff like print and play and other really neat things. Wink, wink. So sign up. Those are quarterly awards and support all the content staff.
All right. Do we have any news today, Jay?
Yeah, so this week was not very exciting in Legion news. So what we're going to do is just we're going to talk about a couple upcoming events. One that is near and dear to my heart, on August 20th in Rochester, New York at Millennium Games, we're going to be hosting a tournament there. So we've teamed up with Millennium Games out in Rochester, New York. They got a great place, great back area, tons of, I think we can have up to like 25 or 30 players for Legion. So we're going to be there. I'm going to be there playing. We've got tons of support that we're going to be offering, prize support. So I'm really excited about that. But yeah, go to Millennium Games, just search Millennium Games, Rochester, New York, sign up for the event, come see us. That'll be fun. Gen Con this weekend, of course. You could probably I doubt you would last minute sign up for a Gen Con, but hey, you could. And then there is, let's see, we've got September 30th through October 2nd is the Michigan GT. So that's going on in Michigan. Some of us may be there, who knows? And then the next big one I wanted to talk about is PAX Unplugged. So PAX Unplugged, December 2nd through 4th in Philadelphia, is they're trying to really like get the numbers up for Legion players and show PAX, you know, how impactful we can be as a community. So if you're not doing anything December 2nd through the 4th, I'll be there. I think Evan will be there. A couple other people from 5th Trooper are going to be there putting on a good show at PAX Unplug. Nick Grobnar from Legion 99 is going to be running the event. And he's got those amazing tables, and he puts on good events. He puts on ACO as well. So, you know, highly recommend signing up, show them what we can do at PAX Unplugged, you know, bring out the Legion community and let them know that them and AMG that they should take that tournament seriously. So, and then Nova, right? Nova, I don't know. I think they're closed to Legion players, but you could get on the wait list, and that is what is that? The first weekend of September. So September 2nd or first through the 4th, I believe.
Yep.
So
right.
Get on the waiting list for Nova. That's in Virginia. Bring the family, go down to DC to the mall, you know, all that stuff, and play a little bit of Legion.
Lots of stuff to do here. So yep. Bring the wife, bring the kids.
Yeah.
Bring the husband, whatever.
Or don't. You know.
Yeah, or don't.
Yeah.
And just come and play Legion. That's fine too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will definitely be playing in that. It is only 25 minutes from my house. So yeah, I'll be sleeping in my own house.
Nice. It is not 25 minutes from my house. Like 6 hours. But
yeah.
I'm still coming.
Hey, that's drivable.
It is. That's a reasonable drive.
Yep. All right. Not 25 minutes from my house, ironically, is this local tournament I went to local, which was 45 minutes from my house. The game store that I play Legion at is actually farther away from my house than the venue that Nova Open is at. But I did go to that. There were just shy of 20 players, so decent turnout. Those at Huzzah Hobbies in Ashburn, Virginia. And yeah, it was fun. It was the first local one I've been to in 2 years. And after much waffling, I ended up bringing. It was a little bit embarrassing because I'm like, all right, I want to test some counter Pike lists. So the best thing I could come up with for that was stacking as much high velocity Pierce as possible, which ended up being Iden, Inferno, and 2 sniper teams. And I wanted to take Boba Fett because we had our little side bet about whether Boba Fett was going to be any good. And I'm like, all right, fine. I'm going to play Boba Fett at Nova Open. So I figured if I was going to play Boba Fett at Nova Open, I should probably like play Boba Fett before Nova Open.
Unlike John, get some reps in. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
unlike every other tournament that I've played in where I've just brought a list cold. So that was kind of like the core of my list. And then I'm like, well, so if I'm going to be going up against Pikes, I've got this high velocity, but like, how do I round out this list? You know what? I'll just take some Pikes. So I then took 2 of my own. But of course, I don't have any of them painted because it was like a month ago that I got them and I haven't had a chance to paint any of them. So I show up with like half of a extremely well painted, or at least in my opinion, which is completely unbiased, extremely well painted Imperial Army, and then a bunch of gray Pikes. And I'm like, I swear I'm not a better chaser, but here's some Pikes. They have stickers on their bases, so you know which unit they're in. Anyway, I did go 3-0. It was only a 3-round day. Mike Berry also went 3-0. We did not get to play each other to settle, you know, who ultimately would have won had we played 4 rounds. But of course, we've played tons of games anyway in our lengthy history, so we didn't really feel like it was that critical. I technically won on SOS, which was the tiebreak. So I'll take the pride. You know, no, it was I was surprised. I have not played Iden in a major tournament before. And I was kind of like discovering all her shenanigans as I went. You know, you have a general sense because I've played against Iden a lot. And what's the phrase? Imitation is the strongest form of flattery. So I just did everything that, you know, Luke Cook and Mike and other great Iden players that I played against have done. Man, she's really good. I don't know what else to say. Like, I used the sniper rifle all 3 games. Being able to just like essentially do an automatic wound every turn is amazing at unlimited range. There were 2 games where I just picked up a strike team on the first turn, because hiding from an infiltrating unit with an unlimited range sniper rifle is really hard. And I had 11 activations, so I was usually able to drop her last. Yeah. You know, there were people. This had me thinking about Din's rifle again, and I might do like Iden Din so I can run 2 of these. But I feel like the sniper on Iden was poo-pooed a little bit when it first came out, and it's since become more popular for a variety of reasons, high velocity being one of them. But just being able to just automatically do a wound like anywhere on the table is super strong. I know people are like, well, it's just, you know, at most like 6 wounds over the course of the game, maybe. But it's also like on any given turn, the most important wound that you need to be doing, right? Like, because you can pick. So like if there's a unit that has 1 dude left, that's the unit you shoot, and you just pick up the dude. Like, think of how many times you almost kill a squad, but then you don't have anything that can get out and reach that guy, and then he just runs away and you don't get those kill points, and he scores a back objective or something the rest of the game. So like my last game, it was against Hob from the Discord. It was super close. It was one of those really interesting back and forth games. He almost pulled out a win anyway, but we both had Boba. He almost like scored a bounty on my Boba with his Boba on the last turn. I had Boba and 1 wound left, but it didn't happen. But basically, like, I was able to win that game he had a naked storm unit on his back point, so I zoomed Boba on the last turn on his back point, killed 3 of the dudes with the Boba rocket, and then immediately just picked up the last dude with Iden. It's like, all right, I'm gonna just take an aim and I'm gonna pick that dude up, and he's gone. There you go. So I don't know. Auto wounds are strong. That's basically what Iden is.
Yeah, I think both her and Cassian didn't get it. I think they got somewhat of a strong response, but I think what was happening was because of the K2SO and because of ISF, right? I think that they both were played more as like an infiltrating, like in the middle of the board type of unit, right? And that works well, but you kind of overlook simple things like their sniper rifles, which are really good, especially Iden's. And so, yeah, I think now that Pierce has always been important, but now it's a little bit more critical. I think units like that, you're going to start looking twice and going, oh yeah.
Yep. And high velocity too.
Yeah.
As Iden has so many ways to get aims, and she's got pulse scan, which gives her sharpshooter too. Like, there are turns where you can almost guarantee that you're going to push 2 hits through, and against something that's not Pierce immune, like there's a pretty good chance that's going to be 2 models, whether that's a strike team or just like 2 models from an important unit. That's going to be pretty significant. And then you can follow up and immediately do the same thing with Del.
Yeah,
if you're running Inferno Squad. So
I will say it's been interesting what Shadow Collective has done to my thinking too, and these new battle forces. Like, you know, for everybody who's been listening, everyone knows like Luke's Bean was kind of my jam, and I was like, nah, I'm gonna play this. And now I'm like, yeah, it's okay. I'm still like way more worried about this though. Like, you know, and it has snipers and it has all this stuff, but I'm leaning back towards Empire, because with everything that's out now, I'm like, okay, Empire has things I know that can deal with this, that I'm better at dealing with all these shenanigans with, you know. So that's been interesting on how that's kind of like readjusted my mind on what to play, you know.
Yeah, and we're seeing Empire actually is having some good success recently. We already talked about Lone Star Open, but half the top 8 for that tournament was Empire.
Yeah.
And then we need to get some final results from this tournament in Germany and Hanover. For whatever reason, the TTO page isn't updated with like the final standings, but they have the top 8 on there. And I think it's 3, if not like 4 Empire in the top 8 also in that one. So, I think the winner, we'll wait until we see the final TTO, but through the grapevine, I think the winner was also an Empire player. So, but I'm sure that our German correspondent Lucas will have more information on that. So I think it's a good time for Empire. Empire has a lot of answers to a lot of the things that are going on right now. I did not get to face a full Pike Spam Shadow Collective list, which was the whole point of bringing the. I know that was like precisely what I wanted to test it against, but can confirm it's good against pretty much everything else. So,
so last week I played Echo Base. A game with Echo Base, and then I was actually playing Jeremy, and he was playing a Black Suns Vader list, very similar to what you were talking about, and it didn't do so well against Echo Base. I go, all right, you play Echo Base, now I want to play something to counter it, like, because I want to run in reps. So I built a Separatist list with Bosk and snipers and the E5Cs and 2 spiders, 2 snipers, and that was a really good list. That thing can kill stuff from really far away. So that's interesting. I don't know. B1s, I'm still trying to get used to those, like thinking about the horde mentality, because I was like in my head, I'm going, oh, rebels, like let's hide them. Keep them safe, and I'm like, wait a second, and I just started like bum rushing them forward, like you can't kill us all, and just keep going. It's an interesting concept, but I think there's a solid chance. I know I was threatening to bring Echo Base to Nova, but there's a solid chance I'm playing Empire at Nova.
Okay, do you anything more specific, or are you gonna be coy about it?
No, I'm honestly between two different lists. I was thinking, I think that old Krennic Bosk list has some play, even with Death Troopers or some sort of variation on that. I think maybe the time, right, to bring them back. And then my other one is bringing probably the double ATST, double dewback, triple scout team and stormtroopers. That's like I don't care what you have, go ahead. See what you can do against all this type of list.
It's one of those lists where you look at it and you're like, how does this fit?
Yeah, and because you got this. So the way it works too is you have the ATSTs. They're kind of just laying down fire. The 2 dewbacks are like protecting your middle and any like objectives you have, and then you can have the scout teams. So not snipers, just just naked scout teams. They basically just scout in 3 and then toss 8 black dice at whatever's in front of them, and even with 2 dodges, good luck. So I don't know. Those are probably a variation of one of those 2 is what I'll be bringing to Nova, and especially like just because Nova is like, for me, just for fun. Like I'm just going to have fun and have a good time. So I'm going to bring a good time list.
There you go.
But I mean, maybe if we get to this portion of the podcast, we could build them out, and I could just show people, what I'm thinking.
Yeah, why don't we do that? I don't have any other real takeaways. Mike was playing an Anakin and Padme list, which is with Pikes, which I think is like actually legitimately not only quite good, but potentially like very competitive.
I mean, it's Mike, right? Like, of course it's going to be competitive.
Well, right. But people have been poo-pooing Gar for various reasons, and me included. Saying someone that has played them recently, but I think Pikes, not just the core units, but also the commander, really add a lot to that list. Pikes love dodges. If there's one thing that an Anakin Padme list has, it is a lot of dodges.
Yeah.
Mike was saying there was one game where his opponent had a Black Sun unit, and as you know, Black Sun hit like a truck. And the Black Sun unit rolled up to one of his pikes and rolled a bunch of dice and got 8 hits. And he had to roll 0 saves. Heavy cover strip 2. The pikes had 2 dodges. And then he had like 4 exemplar dodges from Padme and Anakin. And it was just like, 8 hits. No saves rolled. Okay. Moving on. Like there's just so many dodges as an Anakin Padme list.
Yeah.
Usually your problem is that you just, it's a short range list for starters. But just that dodges only go so far by themselves. Yeah. But when you have outmaneuver natively on the pikes, you've got a cheaper commander you can take in that 45-point pike commander. And then you can also take ploy as one of your 1 pips, which is like a guaranteed Anakin flaw counter. Because it doesn't issue a face up. So your opponent plays the flaw, which they have to do before you play command cards. And then you just play ploy and you put a commander token on the ploy card. And then you have order control over Anakin on his flaw turn. So I think it's really interesting. I'm not going to lie. If I hadn't already been on this Iden fix, I would be strongly considering pivoting back to Anakin for a brief moment. But
well, I guess to that, before we get to the list building, we could talk Gen Con real quick and what we think we'll see at Gen Con, if you want to.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm under the impression, and maybe I said it last cast, but we've been talking about these lists, Shadow Collective lists with a ton of pikes. I don't think we're going to see those until maybe September, October, just because even look at somebody like you who's pretty religious at getting your models together and painted for events. You struggled to get them together for and so I think a lot of people just aren't going to have the time to put all those together. So I think we're going to see watered down variations of them for at least for Gen Con this weekend. My predictions are, if I had to pick a top 3, I think an Empire list is going to make it based on what we've been seeing. I think a solid chance of Echo-based Battle Force has a chance of making it if they play it right and they're patient with it. I think it has a really solid chance. And then of course Separatists, some version is Bosk. I think is going to make it into the top 3.
Yeah, I'm going to be curious to see how many Shadow Collective, full-blown Shadow Collective lists we get. There were, I think, 5 at LSO. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's my recollection.
That sounds right.
Which is not that many. But also, of course, one of those lists piloted by Matt Bronson won that tournament. So, yeah, there were only 5 Shadow Collective lists, but clearly, they made an impact. And I think there was another Shadow Collective also in top 8. And then at this tournament in Hanover, 3 of the top 8 were Shadow Collective lists. So they're clearly out there. People with more free time than me are managing to get all of their Shadow Collective stuff painted. That said, I don't know how many people are going all in on Shadow Collective, period, in general. I don't know how many people actually bought some combination of core boxes and or Pike and or Black Sun expansions that add up to 6 core units, or possibly more. If you, in theory, if you're running full capos on all your Pike units and then 2 to 3 capo commanders, you could need more than 6. Or if you're doing that with Black Sun, you could need more than 6 boxes.
Yeah.
Unless you do some conversions, or I don't even want to get into that and whether that's okay to do or not. So I guess that's a long way of saying I don't know how many Shadow Collective you would see anyway, even if this was 2 months out from another release instead of a month.
Yeah.
That said, I do think that they're extremely good as a not faction, as a battle force. And I think that if you're going to a tournament, there's something that you have to plan for, because the handful of lists that there are going to be very threatening, and they're probably going to be piloted by good players that are. Yeah. So, hi, Cat. This is one of my cats. This is the one that has to be as close to my face as possible at all times. So it's actually a miracle that he hasn't shown up on the cast yet until this moment. Yeah. So we were kind of punching around an over under on our internal Discord, and it was the total number of pikes in the top 8. I'm going to start with mine because I feel like this is kind of bold. So this includes both obviously full Shadow Collective lists and then just random lists that have like 2 to 3 pikes in them, or 1 to 3 pikes, whatever. I'm going to say 18 pikes in the top 8 total.
Yep. I opened the bidding and I bid 10 and immediately regretted how low I said. That being said, like I feel somewhere between 10 and 18 will be the correct answer. Somewhere in that range.
What was this, top 10 again?
Top 8.
Top 8. I'll say 8.
Okay, so that's basically like 1 Shadow Collective list and
a few others.
2 other lists that have some randomins.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I was kind of viewing them as like similar to Rebel Trooper DLT's captains before I used them this weekend. There is one way that they're worse, and I did notice this, particularly in my last game, and that is the lack of nimble. If you shoot them repeatedly, like once they don't have dodges anymore, they're just Rebel Troopers. Now they do have danger sense, which helps a little bit against like smaller pools. But as anyone who has played Pathfinders knows, danger sense is a complete slot machine because like white dice, just, you could roll 6 white dice and they're all blanks. Like that happens. So it's nothing to rely on. I did miss nimble, but the primary difference I noticed was like on the offensive side. I mean, Rebel Trooper DLT captains hit hard. Pikes, particularly with the capo.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you've played them, Tim.
Oh yeah.
Like it is unbelievable. Like it was. I started rolling attacks with them, and I'm just like, wait, 6 hits, 7 hits, 7 hits, 8 hits, 7 hits, 8 hits, and it's like, this is ridiculous. Because they usually have a free aim from the commander. They can aim themselves, and then they got the surge token, and their pool is 7 black and a red. Which, when you think about it, shore troopers, which are one of the notoriously hardest hitting units as amongst core units, right? They have 6 black and 2 white with critical 1. If you've got a surge token from your capo, it's 7 black and a red, which is essentially just taking the 2 whites in a shore trooper pool and swapping them out for a black and a red dice. Yep. That's literally what it is.
Yeah, and also they have really good aim support.
Right.
Because you like built into the list, usually you have some capos which can chuck them aims. How I've been playing them, which is like less efficient, mostly is because I don't have a whole bunch of boxes of pikes, but is like I have a bus behind them throwing the aims. So then basically I'm never taking a shot without 2 aims, which kind of makes up for the lack of surge. But yeah, but not only is it like the floor with them is quite high too. Like Rebel DLTs, because they don't have that red die. Like you can roll low on them. I mean, you can roll low on any dice pool, but the pikes, they spike high, but then also like you roll out and you're it's very consistent and you're forcing saves consistently. And it means that like the way to keep pikes alive is just force your opponent to have to shoot multiple things. So you just have to come at them with everything so that they are forced into shooting things that are not ideal. Like they can't, basically you just need to force them not to do their weakness of pikes, which is focusing them
down. Yeah.
If you can keep the pressure on them and force them to want to take shots at the units that are about to take their heads off, then you can just keep keep the pressure on, and they just never get a chance to focus the unit.
Yeah, it's a psychological thing too. I mean, at least before you strip their dodges, it's kind of feels like a waste of time to shoot them because you're like, I'm going to take this shot. They're going to spend their 2 dodges. Heavy cover is going to strip 2, and then they're not going to roll any saves. So why bother? I'll just shoot something else. But then they roll up and they clap you with that ridiculous pool, and you're like, huh, maybe I should have shot them.
Yeah. The other fun thing I've been having, so in my list, I actually have one of the whip pikes. It's a 50 point because it's like just 4 naked guys and a whip. And it's a 50-point objective grabbing squad that can also whip things if it needs to. And so far, I've managed to put an immobilized token on some naked RTs because that was a thing that ran at me. But also a operative Luke Skywalker burst speeded into my lines, and then I hit him with a whip. So then Luke Skywalker was stuck there for the turn.
That's cute.
Yeah, like the whip is like definitely sort of a little bit more under the radar. But if you can toss in, especially in Shadow Collect units where you don't have to have a capo for the courage, just having that sort of 50-point objective squad that it's a little bit more beefy because it's 5 wounds, so it's a little harder to take off the board, but also it's in a pinch can just throw an immobilized token on something and screw with your opponent's plans.
Yeah, Evan came over, I don't know, it's been weeks at this point. And he's like, hey, let's just play a fun game. And I think I put together like a weird rebel list with, I had like tauntauns and a bus and fleets and, and yeah, he was playing the pikes with the whip. And I was like, this is fine. And then all of a sudden it wasn't fine. And I was like, oh God, where did they come from? And they got 2 dodges? What is going on? And like, he kept just like peeking and like shooting with them. And I'm just like, what? And then whip. And I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, they're definitely, you're right. Kyle, you said something about like, you probably should have shot them. And you were like, no, there's better targets. I think they're a good target. I would try to kill them immediately as soon as possible.
They're also like, they're also weird units to like stick a force user into. Like, because often, like, a way to get a force user in line is you get it, like, the pike unit will, like, whatever, a unit will shoot, then you jump into them, and then you're safe. But pike units, especially with the capo, if, like, they don't have any taken wounds, they're going to throw 12 white dice in melee with a surge token.
Yeah, that can hurt.
Yeah, so, and they're also, like, kind of hard to kill with lightsabers, because they're going to have a few dodges.
Yep.
So they're a real prickly thing to deal with force users too.
Yeah, I did some really good damage to Vader with some pike stun batons.
Yeah.
In one of my games. Vader got in and he was like, hey, I'm in a unit of pikes. And then the pikes were like,
yeah.
So yeah, it's like it's weird too, because notionally, like on average, it's not really that different from, most core units have a single black die in melee, which, if you're storms, it's surging. If you're not, it's not surging. But like in theory, that's the same as 2 white dice. But 2 white dice can spike so much higher. Like you charge a unit of rebel troopers or stormtroopers, whatever, a 5-man unit, like they're not going to get more than 5 hits. They're probably not going to get more than 4 hits. But you charge a 6-man unit of pikes, they're probably only going to get like 3 to 4 hits, but they also could get like 7 hits.
And especially those units with the capo with that surge, like
that
surge token raises that pool quite a bit.
Yeah.
Because now suddenly those 2 white dice are actually a little bit better than that 1 black die.
Yep.
Too.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. They're a very good all-rounder unit.
Yep.
I think I've said this before, but I think that if they become popular enough, they could actually push out a lot of droid lists, because B1s are really bad against them on both offense and defense. We'll see, but I don't think I'm prepared to do this yet for Gen Con, because I don't know how many like Shadow Collective / Pike lists we're going to see yet, but one of these days I'm going to predict a top 8 with no droids in it. You know what? For Nova Open, I'm going to say top 8 has no droid lists in it.
I could see that.
Yeah, That being said, the AAT still exists.
It does, and that is a excellent Pike counter.
Yeah. Because like, so the two lists I'm sort of playing around with right now are my sort of Shadow Collective nonsense, and then I'm also playing Invasion Force
Uh-huh.
with 54 B1s, which is also a repair droid, so actually 55 wins.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay.
But and then it has a tank and then Magna Guards and then a 2 series droid. And it has 6 heavy weapons, 6 heavy weapons. And so far I've just sort of like suppressed some stuff off the board because I'm just gonna shoot you with 8 core units and then an AAT. And also like I have a high velocity and I have Magna Guards. It does like B1s die really quickly, but 54 of them don't die very quickly.
No, they don't. Yeah.
Not at all.
No.
So that
you guys shoot them a number of times for that to all go. Yeah.
The invasion force is definitely interesting. So I don't know. That's the two things I'm playing around with right now, and both are good.
Yeah, if droids do break through this new meta that we're seeing develop here, I think it is going to be on the back of the AAT.
Yeah.
And or maybe Bosk. I've seen some really interesting like AAT Bosk lists.
Yeah.
And you look at that and you're like, oh, that's a thing, I guess.
Range
for artillery section.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Like you literally can almost have your entire army be range 4.
Yeah.
With adding Bosk and the spider droids, and you put, like I was saying, snipers, E5C on all the, and then
E5S
or E5S, yeah, and then add Kalani.
Yeah,
everybody's just getting orders and aims, and
Bosk with scale now too is quite the thing.
Yeah, he's super good. If I get enough stuff painted, I would love to play double bounty Shadow Collective at some point with Bosk and Cad Bane and a bunch of pikes. That's like my dream, but my chances of actually getting all of that painted in the next month are very low. So it's probably going to end up being the Iden list or something similar for Nova, but we'll see.
Yeah, I also think the double bounty CIS list, because then you get order control and independent on your 2 bounty hunters.
Yep.
Very consistently. Has a good shot of doing some good things.
I agree.
Or bad things, depending on your perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just interesting, right? Because Shadow Collective's the new hotness. And so like I'm hoping, I don't think they'll get overlooked, but bounty hunters I think need to have their time in the sun. And I think it's now, and we gotta see what that's just we were talking about pikes, everyone saw pike. So it's hard to think about that, man. And
I mean, bounty hunters could easily have their time in the sun in the next few months as more of them come out that are really good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can take them in Shadow Collective with a bunch of pikes. So.
Yep.
And can confirm Boba Fett, the new Boba Fett, it's really good. That extra black dice, like, it doesn't seem like it should make that much of a difference, but it makes a big difference.
It does. Oh yeah.
I mean, it's essentially almost Jedi Luke's melee lightsaber pool. It's just at range 2.
Yep.
He's got sharpshooter too, so
yep.
Like clearly he doesn't have high velocity. So if your target has dodges, then they're going to strip some hits. But generally speaking, like whatever paint you roll on that 5 black die roll, and you usually have at least 1 aim now because of the combination of independent and whatever you put in as training slots. Like that's going to be 3 to 4, if not 5 saves that your opponent has to make with Pierce 1. Yeah. So,
I mean, and his rocket too.
Oh yeah.
3 red, like it's, I don't know. His rocket's the same, but also better, just because you can follow it up with a better dice pool.
Yeah.
Like the rocket into like a 5 black die carbine, like combined pool, can really knock stuff down.
Yep. Sure. And there's more like 4 health commanders rolling around than ever before. So
that's also very true.
With a rocket and offensive push, You got a better than 50-50 shot to just like full to dead one shot of 4 health white save commander like a Pike Capo. So yeah, pretty interesting.
Yep. Yeah, like almost I would like I don't know this for sure, but I would hazard a guess that most lists have like 4 health generic commanders in them these days. Like most, if not a super majority.
That's fair.
There's not many lists I can think of that don't rock at least one generic commander these days.
Yep. I agree. All right. Should we do some quick impromptu list building? I want to hear about this double ATST double dewback list.
All right.
Jay.
Oh boy.
Right, let me all right. So we're in Legion HQ. Can you guys see this? Okay.
Yep.
All right, perfect. So we're gonna go to Empire. All right. So when I do this, we've talked about this before, but I generally go, okay, what is my focus piece or pieces going to be? And in this case, it's the ATST. So I always start with them. So the first one is going to have General Vice. I'm going to put all the weapons on it, and I'm going to put link targeting array on it. I'm then going to add another ATST, and this one, I may come back to this because I got to think about the points, but this one I may just add the blaster to it, link targeting array, and then this could be taken off. I generally like to put the tactical 1 pilot on because he gets the aim when he moves.
You put the mortar, not the
Yeah, sorry, I meant mortar.
Okay.
Yep. I said blaster, I know. So then the dewback riders, they're gonna get the 97C. We're gonna put 2 of those. And then we're gonna get our core units in. So we're gonna just put some naked storms in there. We'll start with 3. And then I'm gonna put scout troopers in, and I'm gonna do 3 of those. So I'm at 794 already. This is really good, I found, but the other thing that I could do too is I could bring the weapons down. I like the mortar because especially with the pikes, we can get some suppression on things from far away. So if I bring the points down a little bit here, I can then put astromechs on these storms and repair up the ATSTs. Yeah, and so basically, for those of you listening, I have an ATST with General Vice, mortar launcher, link targeting ray, another ATST with the tactical 1, First Sergeant Abram, mortar launcher, link targeting ray, 2 dewback riders with the RT-97Cs, 1 naked stormtrooper, 2 stormtroopers with astromechs, and 3 scout troopers. So basically, I'm at 794. This list does not care about red or blue. It just wants to kill. And so that's, I faced droids with this. I faced rebels. I've faced Republic, everything with this list, and it holds up, and basically the idea is you're giving your ATSTs the commands most of the time, the orders. So I have assault, you have to put coordinated fire, pin down, covert, ambush, and push. And so I never play standing orders unless I have to in this list. And usually turn 1 is probably like assault. And depending on what's going on, both the ATSTs absolutely get it. And they'll have the aim and they're ready to kill. So that kind of stops your opponent from really like pressing, because ATSTs have infinite range with those mortars and range 4 with their regular weapon. So that kind of holds people back. And then depending on what you're facing, maybe you give it to one of the dewback riders, or one of the scouts if you want to get an early kill in on something, because you can scout 3 with all those scouts, and they have low profile, which if they're in heavy cover is now 3 hits that you got to get through to get to them. Scout 3, sharpshooter 1 with 8 black dice at range 2. So good.
Yeah, I'm surprised people don't do the naked scouts more.
I just don't think you think about it, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, you think scouts, and you're like, oh, I'll put a sniper on there, right? But these are really, really good. I think it's hard too from an Empire perspective. I think this is changing with Pikes, but for a while, from an Empire perspective, it's hard to put white dice into a list. Like you struggle with that, right? Because you have so many red defensive dice units. Yeah. What would you guys do differently?
Take the 97.
Keeping the architecture of the list. You can't just wipe the list out.
No, yeah,
all
yeah,
of it.
Yeah. No, I pulled up a list builder on the side and did what I would do my version of this.
All right.
Keeping, as far as I can tell, all the same units.
Okay.
But so the storms and the scouts are all unchanged. The dewbacks, you go from 97Cs to T21s.
All right.
Because they're about the same offense, if not slightly better, and 5 points cheaper.
Okay.
And then Weiss, you can add a mortar launch or add the twin light blaster cannon.
Okay.
And then the other ATST is the elite armor pilot and the twin blaster cannon and link targeting array. So you drop RMAP and add the twin light blaster. That's 795, right?
804. What am I? Did you have the Astromech still in there?
I have an Astromech.
One. Yeah, there you go. You have.
There you go.
Oh, sorry.
So it's,
sorry,
yeah,
two.
so it's 795. Yep.
Yeah, and this I think you're gonna have a little bit better offensive firepower.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just have to drop in an astromech. And I mean you could also because the scout troopers and snipers are the same price. If you wanted to drop one scout trooper for one sniper or something, just to have a little bit more ranged firepower, that can be sort of personal preference deal. Yeah,
I've done a version. I had a lot of success with a version of this list that instead of the full scout troopers, I had 3 saboteurs, and so basically, try to go through to objectives that have middle objectives, and I just lay a bunch of bombs in there. Once they get through those, I just run in with the dewbacks and try to murder them with the dewbacks, and then if they get through that, the ATSTs kill them. And so it's And saboteurs are still throwing 4 black dice at range 2. So you can scout up, move, shoot, and there's a lot they could do. So that's another variation on this that I was playing with, was the saboteurs as well. Which that may be something they could pop back up too, I think, with all this stuff that's going on is bombs, right? And getting some of those bombs out.
Yeah, I super like Sabine's bombs. I think the Sabs are still a little awkward just simply because if you're trying to counter something like dodge spam, they're the same slot as the sniper, which does it better and more reliably. You can certainly hit some home runs with those bombs, though. I mean, especially the Empire ones where you're throwing down 2 suppression every time you blow one up. That adds up super fast. And then if you're building a list around Sab strike teams with Empire, you can probably throw some mortars in there for some extra suppressive weapons. You can make some silly Empire suppressive lists with Sabs and mortars and stuff like that. So I could easily see that surprising some people.
Yep, definitely.
It's definitely easier and more consistent to just take the sniper in that same slot, or even the full scouts like you have there. But I could see a place for it. It's been a while since we've seen Sabs.
I think the skill level on Sabs is a little bbit higher, and
it's high.
And I think guys like us who have been around a while, who saw Lupo play them, and we learned a lot of stuff from playing against him at different events, and how he was playing those saboteurs. They're very tricky to play, but if you get them down, people don't see it coming sometimes, especially someone who's never played against them before, and what you do is it's very similar to playing snipers, where you hide one behind where it doesn't have line of sight to the bomb, so you can actually blow the bomb up you sacrifice half your unit, but you're still alive, but your opponent may be dead. Their unit may be dead. So there's some really interesting stuff. And then how line of sight works with bombs, like putting them up on terrain so that they can, go over it. That's an interesting thing. And yeah, there's a lot of really weird nuance with line of sight and bombs.
Yeah, and like the quote unquote traditional way, like the way that Lupo did it for Worlds, was taking them with stims and medics.
Yeah,
I
forgot about that. Yeah.
So they're basically like zombie sabs, and this was before low profile, which made the low profile change, which makes them even tougher. So it's just like you'd shoot him and you'd kill one guy, and then like they'd bring him back with a medic, or you'd shoot him and you'd cause one wound, and like they'd just take it on stims. And then it's like this unit is what, like 50 points, and I cannot kill a 50-point 2-man unit.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you could even run them with Chewie, with Guardian, like yeah. I would be curious to see if a Rebel Stab list like that one could work now, because it's gotten a lot better, and it was good, back in 2019. But like low profile got better, the Sabs got cheaper, Chewie got access to Protector, like
yeah. Well, I think what changed, what really changed the Empire ones is Scout 3.
Yeah.
So now I just added the same thing. So I want a strike team, but like if I add them in, you've got, you can add 3 of them with this list. And you've got Scout 3. So now there's a solid chance, depending on the deployment, that you could be right in the middle, already have the middle layered up with bombs, and then they can move around a corner and start blowing bombs up as your opponent starts riding in towards the middle. They surge to crit, they've got suppressive, like they're a really, really good unit.
Yeah. The corner peeking bombs technique is also something like people don't do enough on Minefield, because you can do the same thing on Minefield to diffuse them.
Yeah.
And then also when you're placing your mines, to get the most effectiveness against your opponent, try to place them in a place that like isn't able to be corner peaked.
Yep.
So
the other thing with mines, for people that haven't played vehicles in a while, is if you put your vehicle over the mine, it doesn't have line of sight to anything else.
Yep.
So
Yep.
So where that works is Minefield, not as much, because Minefield just blows up unless you've moved units in and it didn't, it rolled a blank or whatever. But it works with these Sabs, right? So you just put your ATST over the top of it, and you're like, yeah, go ahead. Yeah. And then run all your guys past it.
With Minefield, you can do it with repulsor vehicles too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they don't set it off.
Right.
Yep.
So there's some interesting tactics. So let's real quick, we can do because I think this is fun. This is a fun, insane list where you're like, oh man, how did he get all that in there? But the one I've been thinking about, for people who are maybe newer to the game, there was this old list that had Krennic, Bosk. It had short. I'm just going to put these in, and then we can play around with the configuration. I'm going to do 2 and 2. It had Imperial Death Troopers. I'll put some snipers in here just to. All right, so I'm at 9, so we can put a third one in. So 10 activations at 674. I have Krennic, Bosk. I have 2 short troopers with the T-21, 2 mortars, Death Troopers with their DLT-19D and the E11 config, and then 3 strike teams. And we're at 674. So we have about 120 some odd points left to flesh this out or to change things. What do you guys think?
That sounds like a Cad Bane to me.
You think so? All right, so we had a Cad Bane. Yep, 779, 11 activations.
So you need allies of convenience for the two bounty hunters there.
Yep.
I would add a comms relay to the Death Troopers so you can get an order to one of those shores every turn. And then probably Hunter on Bosk.
795.
And then you got a few points left. I mean, you might want to just bid, but you could also add some training upgrades to Cad Bane for like a budget training upgrades on Cad Bane. I like situational awareness and duck and cover. Just makes him ridiculously tough.
Yep.
So I guess we'll do let's do situational awareness on him. So 797. How much is duck and cover?
It's 2. It'll fit.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. So 799. Oh, God. All right. So what? Well, all right. Let's go through command cards. What do you play?
This is where it gets a little tougher.
Yeah.
I think you take Voracious Ambition over Bosk's 1 pip, and then you take.
I agree. Yeah.
And then you take Cad Bane's 1 pip.
All right.
You got to take Rampage. And then I think you take Deploy the Garrison probably, although I'm in Control is a really good card. Deploy the Garrison is going to be a little more versatile, I think.
Right.
And then you take both the Bounty Hunters 3 pips. There you go.
799, Director Krennic, Underworld Connections, Cad Bane with situational awareness, duck and cover, Bosk with Hunter, 2 Shores with their T21, 2 Mortars, Death Troopers, DLT, Comms Relay, E11 config, and 3 strike teams with snipers. For 9 and 11 activations. That's so good. Oh my God.
That's a beefy double bounty list if ever I saw one.
Yeah, yeah.
Pull up Separatist next.
Sure.
Are we doing Separatist double bounty?
No. We're gonna do this is gonna be a wacky one. Go to Invasion Force.
Okay, and then when you're done, I got a Separatist double bounty.
Yeah. This will be quick. So it's a T-series tactical droid with aggressive and comms relay. Then AAT with high energy cells and linked targeting array. And then you're going to have 4 B1s with E5S and a repair droid.
Hang on, 4 repair droids?
Oh, just wait. This is a bit of a meme list.
Okay.
And then 4 E5Cs and 4 repair droids.
Oh my God. Oh, wow.
And it's $7.99.
I cannot believe that fits.
Dude.
I mean, I don't think anyone has 8 repair droids.
No, I would highly doubt it. But
I have 2, and I hated both of them.
It's I mean, this list is 64 wounds of core units, backed up with 18 wounds of repair, plus it has a tank and a T-series droid.
I don't know what to think about this. I was like,
that is a lot. That's a lot of wounds.
I was about ready to write like an epitaph for B1s, and then I see this, and I'm like, like if I saw this on the other end of the table, I'd be like, what do I do?
So miserable. This is one of those lists where you only focus on objectives. This is I'm going to focus on my objectives list.
Well, I mean, in our Discord, Kyle said something. I mentioned playing Invasion Force, and he goes, "Oh, this list seems like it'd be weak on objectives. This is the one I'm actually like, not this one, but the one I'm actually playing." And I just went, "Yeah, but I have 54 B1s, so just sort of throw at the objectives, and that generally works."
Yeah, even if it's like VAPs, like you just
yeah.
I don't know how your opponent prevents you from sending your giant zombie force to just overrun one of the VAPs.
So let me ask you this, Tim. with a list like this, is like, how much thought are you really putting into where your B1s are? Are you just all go, all gas, no brake?
I mean, one huge difficulty with this many models is like actually getting them cover, and B1s without cover, like, I mean, 64 wounds or 55 wounds or whatever seems like a lot, but if they don't have cover, they'll just fall real quickly. So like you actually do need to put a lot of mental energy into like because like a lot of units to be like, oh, I'll put the unit here and then like stick the rest of the 4 guys in cover. But with B1s, it's like, okay, so if they're eight model units, I'm gonna stick only 4 guys in cover, so I get the cover, but then everybody else needs to like go away from the cover so that another unit can get that cover. So
Yep.
it's like it's a list you like playing with this many B1s, whether you're playing Invasion Force or not, like just a lot of B1s, you need a bit of like automatic, like you don't have to, you can't be thinking about it because it's too much, but you need to sort of have automatic placements where like you know that like I need to have spaces for my other B1s because there's going to be more guys who want cover. So both, yes, you can't really think about it that much, but also you do need to make sure you're trying to get cover, because if you get them caught in the open, then that's just not good.
This is kind of like the the gas in my luxury car costs so much. It's like I have so many models, I can't find cover for all of them.
Yeah. The first time I made this list was over a beer after a local night, and it was so bad it's good.
This looks absolutely obnoxious. I don't like.
Oh yeah.
I don't even know what to think. I had a double bounty staps list, but I don't think I can follow this one up with anything. So I think we can just table that one.
Oh man, well that's fun.
Yeah, that's fun for somebody. Wow. I actually think that I might have enough B1s to do that. I do not have enough worker droids.
You know, it's funny, Kyle, you and I were thinking the same thing. I was like, yeah, I for sure got the B1s for this.
Yeah.
I only have 2 of those worker droids, though.
Yeah.
I mean, we have our own store, so I could just go pull them off the shelf, but I don't know. I'd rather sell those. But
Yeah.
This would be a monetarily expensive list to run.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, you'd have to buy 8 B1 upgrades.
Right.
Plus 4 of the like B1 upgrades, because there's 45 S's.
Yeah.
Plus,
yeah, no, those are 2 separate packs.
Yeah, they're not.
Those are different packs.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, wait, aren't those in the? No, they're not.
No, they're not.
Son of.
Yeah, I mean, I do think there is a possibility of seeing like an invasion force with like 8 B1s that have extra bodies, or like some repair droids, but like 64 wounds of core being thrown at your opponent just could be a thing that might happen in the future.
No thanks. Hey, yikes. All right, let's talk about something else.
I mean, we're running out of time here. Did we want to do any more lists, or do we?
Oh, you know what? Invader League is over. We should briefly
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Okay. So I do not have the entire top 4 in front of me. So I apologize to the other 3 people that I'm about to shaft. But Invader League was won by Bobette from the Discord. So congrats to Bobette. He had
from Canada. Woo-hoo.
And from Canada.
Nice.
Yes. Is this the first Canadian Invader League win?
I think so. Going through my memories, I think so.
Yeah, Kingsley, me, Ellis, Luke, Snyder,
Inosadam,
and
Bobette.
yeah.
So yeah,
Bobette. First Canadian. Yeah.
Well, congratulations, Canada! You did it.
There you go.
Yay! We're like a real country now.
You always were, pal.
You always were. Yeah, congrats. It was a Maul double spider Magna list. He did have a normal T series instead of the super tactical droid. which allowed him to push it up to 11 activations instead of 10, and throw some more beef around. So, yeah, it was interesting. But at the end of the day, it was a Maul double spider list.
Yep.
Now let me ask you this, because that was the old rules, right? That didn't have any of the new stuff, any of the new old, not rules, but you know what I mean. It didn't have any of the new.
No Shadow Collective.
Right. So do we, and the upgrades and all the new stuff, do we see that as the way of the old? Because we haven't seen so many spider droids out in the wild, right? Since Shadow Collective.
But Pikes are really good against spiders.
They are, and against B1s.
And against B1s. Yeah.
So it's possible that, we'll see. But yeah, I think I said this last week too. But I think that Spider / B1 players will be very disappointed if they run up against the Pike list. I don't think that means that this list is going to go away. Especially it's kind of this weird, awkward spot right now for Separatists, because internally, if you run up against another Separatist player and they have spiders and you don't have spiders,
right.
You're still going to get wrecked.
Yep.
But if you've got those spiders and you run up against the Pike list, that's going to be real bad for you. So it's this weird binary thing where it's suddenly kind of difficult to make an all-rounder Separatist list. I hope that Separatist players will prove me wrong in this regard. Maybe something with an AAT and a couple repair bots for stripping ion tokens.
Maybe something with an AAT and 8 repair bots.
Yeah. maybe that's the path forward. The droid battle force is basically just AAT and B1s was already a good archetype for droid lists, and this is just a free up, it's here's some free command cards and more B1s in case you wanted more of those. So it'll be interesting to see. I think if droids succeed, it will be based on that archetype, or something like double bounty staffs, which I think could be good. I think the ideal outcome here for Separatist players is that they all just kind of decide to stop playing spiders and they move on to other stuff. And then they're not gatekeeping each other, and they're also playing stuff that's better against other non-Separatist lists. If
listen, as a part of the reason I stopped playing double ATST was because spiders were out, and I was like, well, there goes that.
Yeah.
But now if they're not going to be around anymore, I think double ATST is my way back.
Droid players, if you could somehow just all agree but nobody is going to play spiders anymore, everybody will be happier, even you. All right. Anyway.
True story.
Yep. All right. That's all I got.
All right.
Good luck to everyone at Gen Con.
Mm-hmm.
I think Bushman, John Bushfax Bushman is playing.
Yep.
On our network. I think Jay,
Grammar Police is going to be
playing.
Nick.
I
am not playing, but I'll be there. I'm just going to be hobnobbing and walking around and taking a gander at things, I guess. I'm looking forward to Rachel and I are going, and we're just, so if you see me, come say hi. I'll probably have some giveaways with me. So, say, hey, I heard you said you got giveaways on Notorious Scoundrels. So now I know you listen to the end of this podcast. I will have things that you may not have.
There you go. Ambiguously tantalizing. I think
hope so.
Evan Bulris is going too, isn't he? Yeah. And I know what he's playing, and it is the most meta list that I've ever seen Evan play.
Uh-oh.
And I'll stop at that.
Oh boy.
I hope that he does well. He made top 4 at Adepticon. So
with
Vader Lad. And now he's playing a super sweaty, serious list.
Did he make top 8 or 4 at ACO as well with a weird list too?
Top 8 with Rex.
Yeah.
So now that he's playing a sweaty list, he's gonna go 1 and 2 or something on first. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I doubt that, but we'll see.
Oh boy.
Anyway, good luck to everyone at Gen Con.
Yeah. 100%. Good luck. Have fun.
Yep.
More importantly, have fun.
Exactly. Don't be a tool. I know I don't have to say that to our peoples, but just generally to everybody at Gen Con.
Yeah, be cool, dude.
Be cool.
We don't want a toxic fandom.
No.
We want a good fandom, and
yes,
constructive feedback welcomed, not toxic feedback.
Yep. The real winners were the friends we made along the way. And the people who, yeah. Anyway,
God, they just.
You don't like that expression?
No.
I just mean to say, people, this is a social game, and have fun in your social contracts that you will be engaging in all weekend.
Yeah, all right, that's fine.
Yeah, is that better?
Yeah, I don't want people to think that they're my friends. That's really where I'm getting at with that.
Okay, all right. You do you.
Thanks.
All right. Well, let's end this thing. We are the Notorious Scoundrels. I'm Kyle.
I'm Jay.
I'm Timbo.
Stay fresh, cheese bags.